All right, real life traders. So Friday, November 10th. What a day today. So strong. So we're doing some live trading here. You know, I'm looking at this. There's two dilemmas that I'm facing right now with today. Is A, I'm not going long at this point in time in this day. I mean, it has been such a strong trending day. And I'm also going to be very reluctant to go short. Now, I'll explain why in a second. Um, but we do have Johnny's trade here, the AMD. Just let me know if you are in that trade with Johnny. Just throw it in the Slack. Give me a one in the Slack. Mike's in it. John. So there's a couple people in the trade with Johnny. Yeah, Doug. All right. Yeah. So here's what I'm looking at, right? So the challenge I think that we're facing with trying to go short is you look at every single, and we'll flip through them. But I mean, actually, here, let me just go real quick. I mean, Square is the outlier here, but let me just go to a different share. Let me go here, and I'll show you here's my array of charts. You should be seeing NVIDIA, Tesla, Amazon, AMD, all that. I mean, if you look across the board there's 8 tickers there, right? And Roku, I could blow up, zoom in here a little bit for you. But everything there that we're looking at, except for Square, so extremely bullish, right? And trending. Now, the other key thing that I want to point out here is this. So here we're on the 3-minute chart on all of these, okay? And if I were to go to the 5-minute chart, look a little bit different, but for the most part, you can just see how all of these are it's just in this very steep uptrend, right? And you can see that. Now, if I go back to, and again, this is across the board with, Square being the exception, because it's just kind of, Square is just doing nothing but going sideways, right? I mean, so here is this shaded area here for today is this area with the red line at the bottom, blue line at the top. That is the 30-minute opening range of the market, right? So that in the first 30 minutes, that's the range that Square created, and it hasn't broken out of it. So here's a great example of a non-trending day, what they refer to as a range-bound day, right? Because we're just trading within the range that was established in the first 30 minutes of the market. Everything else has, Tesla just got out of that range, but everything else, I mean, look at Microsoft. I mean, it's ridiculous. Everything else, that range was just blown away. So let me go back to the other chart. And let's take a look at, so again, AMD, but let's go to the 5 and 15. Okay. So here we are on the 5 and the 15. And what I want to point out to you that I'm looking at that really makes me hesitant to go again, I'm not going to go long at this point in time because we're so far extended on the day, but could it go higher? Of course it can, but I'm not going to go buying at these levels. And then the question about shorting for me is here's this jagged line right here, this jagged red line. So here's the 10 EMA on the 5-minute. This jagged one is the 15-minute. So that's just this line overlaid over here on the 5-minute chart. So I know looking at the 5-minute chart is where that 15-minute 10 EMA is. And if I look over here, here it is. I mean, we have just been, for the most part, we rode this 5-minute 10 EMA all day, right? Got a little bit below it right here, but for the most part, we just were riding that level. And then we kind of got through it here and got back above in here. But the one thing that you'll notice, we have yet to get below this 15-minute 10 EMA, right? I mean, so when you think about these, the EMAs, it's almost like a support line, right? I mean, it is providing support. And as it goes up, it's forcing price up and vice versa, right? So, when I look at this, I go, it's going to be a tough area to go short with. You look at this line, right? And just how steep that is, right? If it were more like the blue line down here where it's a little bit softer, okay, maybe, but I don't know. I think it's tough. It's going to be a hard short at this point in the day. But with you all who are in AMD, right? Just if I was going to be going short here, I would be quick with taking profit. Okay. So I wouldn't be looking at this and going, oh, I'm going to hold out for 2R, right? And here's Johnny saying he's taking 10% off at 118.61, and then he's going to move his stop into the green, right? I think it's smart, right? Because it's, if you can come out of this trade with, a little bit of a profit, or worst case scenario, you break even, that'd be good. All right, Brenda, have a great weekend. Have a great one. So anyway, I would just be very quick taking profit here, or just be realistic with what you might get. Like, I mean, typically when I'm looking for going counter trend on something, I'm thinking I want to try to take it back to VWAP, right? On a day like this, that kind of a trend, I'm not going to be so optimistic with where it can go right now. Again, anything can change, right? The market could just roll over. But I mean, again, let me go to a different screen. All right. So now we're looking at the broader markets. Here we're looking at the S&P, NASDAQ. That's on the daily. We have SPY and the Qs here on the daily, and here's the 5-minute S&P and the 5-minute Qs. But again, look at how steep that line is, right? It's very steep. It's very strong. And we just keep going higher, right? So in order for any of those individual tickers that we just looked at, and in order for any of them to roll over, there would have to have some type of a news catalyst that would make it go down, because the market's going to hold it up, right? Looking at Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, AMD, they're not trading on their own. They're trading with the market. And as long as the market is doing this and pushing higher, they're going to be pushing higher. I mean, this is a great looking, both of these great looking daily candles, so strong. Just, it'd be interesting to see if we can, this is the daily 100 here on the S&P. It'll be interesting to see if we can get up into there and then see what happens. I mean, we're close, right? I mean, we don't actually have to touch that line for it to technically be hitting it, right? I mean, it's a zone, but I mean, this is just such strong. So buying here, I'm going to be curious to see how it closes, right? If it closes with like nearly a shaved top, I mean, that's such a strong day. And I'll tell you, let me do this, because last Friday, I clearly needed to put new batteries in my crystal ball, because what I said last Friday, if you recall, I said, after all of these days of bullishness, right? Look at all those days. I said, I would not be surprised if we got a retest, back down to this level, and then did that. And I said, my thesis coming into this week was going to be short. I was thinking, okay, market after that kind of a move will likely need to pull back a little bit, right? Catch its breath and then go up. Well, we got some sideways action here, and then today's just ridiculous. So clearly I was way off the mark last Friday when I speculated that we were going to be coming back down into, this range here on the S&P, and then on and again on the NASDAQ, I said the same thing, right? Maybe we threw some, we don't need to do it now, but we threw some Fibonacci retracements on here. And I think we were looking at, trying to get back down into this range here, somewhere in the 50% or maybe the 38, percent retracement before we went up. But clearly strong bullish market right now. So, which is good, right? Actually, it looks like you might be getting some type of a little bit of a break on AMD. And which is surprising because the market, we're not really getting much of a pushback or sell off right here, right? We're still holding, but let's go back to AMD. Right. So this will be interesting to see what happens here. AMD is now really for the first time interacting with this 15-minute 10 EMA. So it'll be interesting to see if it can break it and close below it, or if it just kind of pushes through a little bit and then closes back above. But that's a nice move, right? Certainly a nice move for those of you who are in AMD. So I'll keep an eye on this. We'll come back to it. Those of you who are, let's see, Doug, John, and Mike, your stop currently, are you just above this pivot here right now, somewhere up in here? All right, Johnny's saying 119.18. Yeah, about a half an hour currently. I'm about to move. Yeah, I'm okay. Doug's green. Nice. So target one is hit. So Johnny just took off 10% of his trade. This is a nice, if this closes like that, it's great for you, right? What if I were in this trade, what I would likely do is wait for this again, I'm on a 5-minute chart here. I would wait to see if this could, the next 5-minute candle, if we can get another lower low and lower high compared to this candle, I would basically bring my stop down to break even if you're not already there. Okay, Mike said he's about to move his stop to the green. So, right now, this again, I'm not saying do it now. I wouldn't do it now. I would wait for this candle. I want to see this candle close, and then for the next candle, right? So got to wait a little bit, but see if we can get a lower low and a lower high on the next candle compared to this. Then I would be bringing my stop above this pivot right here, and then at that point, you're good. Free trade, and then whether you've taken some off at any point. All right, let's go. Again, I am going to be very conservative in terms of looking to take something short, but that doesn't mean I won't. Doug is saying 119.20 following the S curve on the 1-minute chart. Yeah, okay. All right, so we got to close there on that candle. That's a decent close. Now, what's interesting is see how the volume picked up there, right? So pay attention to this. So we just got a nice little, push down. There is some buying pressure underneath, not a ton, right? It's not like not like this came all the way back up. That was a lot of bearish volume that just came in. So if we can make another push down, I think you're all going to be in good shape. But again, the market is holding up. So interesting that AMD got that push while the market was basically just kind of hanging out where the close to the highs. All right, let's go through. Let me just take a look. I want to go through a couple of tickers. One that I want to show you, Tesla. I mean, talk about a move right here. All right. So, on Fridays we're often, and normally it's at a different time, but I'm talking about the analyzing the price action and the volume. I mean, look at this move, right? So, that what I'm looking for always at a new low of the day or a double bottom is some type of a hammer candle, right? Hammer candle with volume. I mean, look at that. That's a thing of beauty right there, right? So, entry, stop, clearly, great looking hammer, lots of buying pressure. Crystal says, I'm in Tesla from 209.02. Wow, that's great. 209.02, not sure where to exit. All right, so Crystal, So here's what have you been with me, Crystal, when we've talked about the 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop? First time. Okay. So here's the deal, because this is a great example of how I would be managing this trade right now. Okay. So one of my favorite strategies, Crystal, for trailing a stop is being on the 5-minute chart and using a 2-bar trailing stop. Okay. So what that means is, as long as each successive candle going bullish here makes a higher high and a higher low, okay, I can count back 2 candles and move my stop there. So this candle that's forming right now, but we need 3 more minutes. Okay, 3 more minutes, but it has made a higher high and a higher low. Let me zoom in a little bit. That will make things easier. If you look here, you can clearly see that this candle has made a higher high and a higher low compared to this one. Okay, and so in that case, and especially since you've been in since 209.02, which is a really nice move, right? You don't want to give back all that profit. So what I do is I will count back, let this candle close, but then count back 2 candles, 1, 2, and my stop would be right here. Okay. And then you just keep doing that, right? And so if you, especially with the move that it's made, right? And let me go to the screen where we can see Tesla on the daily. Let's look at the daily picture, right? So, all right, decent candle. It's not like, it's really not that overextended. You have some room to go up until this. Here's the 10 EMA on the daily, right? Which is coming up to it, right? It's up here. So not saying that that's where I would take at this point, Crystal. I would just simply just keep trailing that stop on a 5-minute. Let me go back to this, right? Give it a chance to run. I mean, look, if the market just keeps pushing, Tesla could still make a pretty decent move, right? Although we're getting some now. Here's where, right? So look, this candle, we're just doing this live. This candle, you're getting a shooting star with volume. So Crystal, see how the volume is picking up here, right? That is, to me, is a warning. Couple things, right? Double top, right? Double top. You can clearly see that. We came up here, came down, came back up. Now we're getting a shooting star, right? So Crystal, the things I'm looking for, right? There you go. That candle closed. If it were me, again, per my trailing stop rules, my stop would be below this candle now, right? Because this candle here, we clearly got a higher high and a higher low compared to this candle, right? Including the wicks, right? So that's obvious. There's my stop right now. Now, when I look at that kind of candle, right, that just came in here with that kind of volume, and it's a double top, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I might consider, actually, this might be something that I might want to try taking short. I got to watch I'm watching the general market over here on the other screen, but this is this kind of a shooting star. See how the volume picked up, right? At one point, Crystal, think about it. This at one point was a pretty big bullish candle, right? You can see that. This now it turned red, right? So it closed bearish. But all of this right here, that wick, that's all selling pressure, right? So profit taking, people are probably looking at this saying, okay, it's extended. We've made a nice move. Time to take profit, right? So here, if you have your stop here, right below, this is a great place to put it. It's the last pivot, right? So on my charts here, right, I have a pivot here, I have a pivot here, right? Below that pivot, it's a great place to have your stop. Now on the 15, if you go to the 15-minute chart, right? If you notice, that stop location that I've identified is also underneath this, right? So at one point, again, think about the sentiment of this candle. At one point, that was a bearish candle, right? It would have been bearish but the bulls weren't giving up, right? So they held in there and they got that candle to close. Well, so think about that. If all these, if that created buying pressure, if that lower wick is all buying pressure, and now we get price going below that, you're going to get some bulls who are going to be looking to exit. So I like this. I like that location for the stop. Again, using my 2-bar trailing stop. And then also it just makes sense on the 15-minute chart, right? So 15-minute chart, you've just got right now. That's a strong candle right here, this bullish candle. And again, part of the reason why I would be hesitant, even though I love this look right here, that shooting star, just because of how strong this trend has been today, I don't know that I want to even try to short that, just because the market is so strong and Tesla has been so strong. Right now, really what you have going on here, here's this very bullish 15-minute candle, right? So look at what's happened, right? Came up, right? This candle, pretty similar in size, right? In terms of the candle itself, right? The body of the candle. Then you look what happened. You just went sideways. It built up pressure before it made the next move up. This could just be building pressure before it makes the next move up. So, and then Crystal, so back to my trailing stop, okay? The rule here is, in order for me, so right now my stop remains here, right? In order for me to move my stop again, I need to be able to get a higher high and a higher low compared to this candle, right? So if this candle comes in and it makes a lower low, it doesn't count. So even if I get 5 more candles here, right, that just kind of hang out, I need to get a candle that gets a higher high and a higher low compared to this one. So no matter what happens the next few candles, if it just kind of goes sideways, I have to be patient. I have to wait until I get a higher high and a higher low compared to this one, right? So this one right now doesn't count. So hopefully that helps. But it's a great technique for trailing stop. And I also want to emphasize, I use that on the 5-minute chart, right? So I could take a trade on a 3-minute chart. I really don't trade below a 3-minute. I'm not quick enough to trade on a 1-minute chart. So 3 is really like the lowest time frame that I trade on. So I could take a trade on a 3-minute chart, but I still have to defer to the 5-minute chart for this trailing stop, because it's just, the 3-minute chart is just too quick for this kind of a stop placement. So, all right. So let's see. Anyway, you're gonna have to wait and see what happens here, right? So again, we need a higher high and a higher low compared to this candle, which is certainly not going to happen on this one either, right? And so Crystal, are you so I'm guessing you're new to real life trading, yeah? 3 months newbie trader. You just did the 90-day course. Great, awesome. All right, well, welcome. Yeah, because I'm thinking I don't recall seeing your name. So if you want, Crystal, if this would be helpful for you, okay, if you go to I have a bunch of videos that you can check out, recordings that I've done, like what I'm doing right now, but specifically of the um, analyzing price action and volume, but then also talking about this 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop. So if you want to go, just go to YouTube and search. I'm putting it in the chat. So if you go to YouTube and just search at Stock Trader's Journey, you'll see all those videos. And that might be helpful. And obviously anybody else here who might want to benefit from that. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to AMD. All right. So again, applying that same methodology, right, with the 5-minute two bar trailing stop, right? So I really would be waiting for, I was saying right here, I needed a candle with a lower low and a lower high, right? So now we're going the opposite way, right? So this, this candle obviously didn't qualify. This candle didn't qualify, so they don't count. Now, finally, we're getting a lower low and a lower high compared to this one. So as soon as this candle closes, assuming it closes down here, then I could go basically to break even or slightly in the green with my stop here. Right. And again, that's depending on, I mean, I think some of you are already, in the green, but if I was in this trade and I was applying that methodology, right, I would have to wait, right? Just okay. So John just put in the green. Good. Okay. I think it's a good move. I don't foresee this candle coming right back up. I think it's going to close down here, in which case you're in a great spot right now. That's a perfect place to put your stop, right? So it's really interesting. Like when I look at, looking at the broader market, right? So like Amazon is still holding up. The S&P and the NASDAQ are still have not broken through that 5-minute 10 EMA. They're still holding, but AMD did break, which is great for all of you who are in it. Let's see. Amazon is holding up. Let me go to NVIDIA. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me go back to Tesla real quick. Because when Crystal was commenting about the entry, that's what I was looking at. Okay, so here's what I want to, so Crystal, here's a great example of the opposite of what happened here, right? So here you got the shooting star with the volume, right? So when that happens at the top of a move, that's when I'm going to be like paying attention to like price action now. Like, okay, when I look at that, is that exhaustion buying, right? Versus right here, exhaustion selling. Because if you think about this candle, right? At one point, this candle was a big bearish candle, right? But then the buyer stepped in, and granted, it closed bearish, but look at all that buying pressure right there, right? So, and then also think about when this was a big, huge bearish candle, that candle was even bigger than this one, right? And look at the volume on this candle here, and then look at the volume spike that you got when Tesla made this new low right here. So I was looking at this, and the one thing about Tesla is because it can be very trappy, very wicky. This was one where I was like, okay, I'm going to play this I'm going to do my conservative play with this, meaning I'm not going to take the breakout, right? So as I often talk about, I don't like to take breakouts or breakdowns because the majority of them fail. You'll get caught in a lot of the bull and bear traps. So what I typically do is on these, but I've been changing it as I've talked about, because I've noticed that these moves off of the bottom and off of the top oftentimes don't retest to where I would put my entry. So anyway, but with Tesla today, because I know Tesla is very trappy, it's very wicky, I decided to play it more conservative. And so I'll walk you through what I did. So I saw this come in, I saw the volume, right? Then I saw this candle, I'm like, great, right? Nice little indecision candle following that. And then at one point, right, this was let me zoom in a little bit just to help you out. At one point, this was a pretty good, bullish candle closing. And what I'm looking for, right, when I'm taking this approach to a trade, is I want to see a close above this level, right? Strong close above it. And then I would put in my, go ahead and put in my limit buy right where my line is here, right? So when this candle came in and closed like that, I was actually looking at thinking, okay, there's the bull trap, right? Now it's just going to roll over, right? Now it's just it just trapped all those buyers that were looking to basically bracket this hammer candle, just like I have drawn here, got trapped, and now it's going to roll over. Well, clearly that didn't happen. So when, and so I'm being patient, right? Because because the majority of the time I don't take breakouts and breakdowns because most of them do fail. So I waited. And then when this candle came in, I'm like, that's the perfect candle. That's exactly what I'm looking for. It's the strong close above this level, right? So then I immediately made my order live. Here was my limit entry, right? So I'm looking for a limit buy. I was hoping on this candle or this candle, it would just come down here, throw in a lower wick, and then go. Clearly, it didn't happen. My trade never got executed. I thought at one point, right, little hope on this candle, but it didn't happen. So again, it's sometimes when you play it this way, you miss trades, and I'm okay with that. Again, because I know that I've been caught so many times in a candle like this where I bracket something, and then all of a sudden it does this, and then it just rolls down and stops me out, right? It does happen, 8 out of 10 times. So that's why I got into that habit of saying, okay, I'm going to wait until I get the confirmation candle, then throw in my limit buy, and then I will look to take, hopefully get filled on a lower wick. And as the trades that I've shared with you with this, that you've seen it where I do get wicked in, and then it moves, and as soon as it moves away, my stop goes basically right to break even on it, after a single candle. Because if I get triggered in on something like that, like let's say if this candle came down and hit my entry and then it closed like that, well, I don't expect it to get back below there. So I'm comfortable, especially with when this candle came in. If I did get triggered in on this, and then this candle, I would right away move my stop to break even, right? There would be no reason for me not to, because it shouldn't get back below that. But so Crystal, what I'm going to do right now though, is I'll walk you through. Let's see. Looks like this actually, based on my trailing stop, I'm just looking here. This actually would have taken you out right here, right? So I was looking at it and I'm like, okay, all of these were making higher highs and higher lows. And here you count back 2, 1, 2. Now, again, you don't have to follow this to a T, right? There's times when you might go, especially on a big candle like this, and go, well, really, like if I count back 2 candles and I know Tesla, if I go back 2 candles, my stop here, like I don't know that I would have gone there, right? You don't have to. It's where you can move your stop, but you don't necessarily have to. And as I'm looking at this, I personally, given Tesla and knowing it can put in some pretty big candles in a 1 5-minute candle, I don't know that I would have moved my stop below this candle. Given this big candle here, I might have gone down into here, played a little more conservative. But either way, if you look here, right, all of this, right, if you get into a nice trend like that, that 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop is perfect. See where you are now. Okay, so you're looking good, right? So again, I don't know if you moved your stop here or not, but like right now, it's looking good, right? So here we're starting to push higher again, right? And this is also stair stepping again. Yeah. So again, also why, right? When I saw this come in, right? Normally I would be frothing at the mouth to take that trade. But because it's been so strong, I mean, look at that move, right? The strength of the move, you got to sometimes check yourself and go, okay, well, this setup right here, right? Which normally I would be all over volume spike, double top, shooting star, like all the key things I'm looking for, checks off all the boxes. But then I have to put it into have to look at it into the context of the day and what has been the price action for the day, right? Context, exactly, right? So when I look at that in the context of the day and I go, but it's just been so strong, right? There are times that you got to, even though like you see the setup that you would take, almost every time you see it, but right, and that but is the context, like what was going on today, right, and with the strength, right. So this, like, let's say if I did short this, right, short here, stop up here, I'd still be in it, but I'd be, really concerned right now because it's a strong, right, strong candle here, bullish engulfing candle compared to this one, right, and it's pushing higher. Let me go back to AMD because I've been keeping an eye on AMD on a different screen, right? So here, right, came down, right? Look at this. You got a really nice, strong bullish candle, good volume, right? And pushing back up. So anyway, I mean, keep an eye. I mean, this could, right now, from this point here, it is making lower lows and lower highs. You can see that here, 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 right down to here. So just keep an eye on it. It could easily just keep doing that for the next, hour and 15 minutes. But it is such a strong day. On the, let's go over here to the, so here's the 5-minute, right? Take a look at on the 15. Right, 15-minute chart. What are we getting? Getting a hammer on the 15. Now, what's interesting though, right now, let's analyze. So with the volume profile, right? So the volume profile, which is this light blue area here, right? So here's the point of control for the day, which has not moved up, right? So that is one thing in your favor, that the point of control has not moved up. So that can kind of act as a magnet to pull price to it. And then on top of that, right, if you look at this node here, right, that I'm kind of outlining with my cursor, this volume profile node is almost as extended as this one, right? So that's a very strong level that we're at right now. So that could easily just serve as the resistance you need to keep price down, right? I mean, so that's a lot of volume going off here. So aside from the point of control, that right here, this level, this is basically the 119 level. 119 is the greatest amount of volume that has occurred today at a price level, right? Point of control here, like 117, 40, 50, somewhere in here. That was the most, but this is pretty close right now. So be interesting to watch this and see if this can, because right now it's trading into that area, right? So we're underneath the 119. So that is providing some overhead resistance right now. See if it holds. It may not, but it could. I mean, it's what's just interesting is you have that on the 15, right? See, and it actually, see how it extended out even more. It got thicker through here, right? So it wasn't before. It was like a kind of a, it looked like this, right? Where it was like one kind of node extending. Now the whole thing kind of turned into a block, right? Which is good for going short, right? Just means that there's that much more overhead resistance right now. So, all right, let's go to NVIDIA. I want to share again another. This has been a kind of a week of really nice trade setups that just did not trigger. So again, one where I decided to play it more conservative because, and I'll explain why. So the other day on NVIDIA, right? I'm watching this and then came down here and right. So new low of the day, look at the volume spike, right? Beautiful, beautiful volume spike. Here's where I struggled with taking this trade was I looked at this candle. So let me just hide most of this, right? So if I'm looking at this, right like that, okay? If I'm looking at that, this is, so let's pretend like we're watching this in real time. And I'm like, see this candle come in. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Beautiful hammer volume. And then I go and I set up my my entry, right? Let's say I was going to take the breakout, right? Well, my entry is going to go above this candle and my stop is going to go down here, right? I look at that. I go, okay, that's my entry. That look how wide that is, right? It's like basically a $4. It's 455 here, 451 here, right? So if I look at that, and then here's the high of the day, right? And I need, so per my rules, I need to see at least an easy 1.2 to 1.4 risk to reward, right? And it just wasn't there, right? On this candle. So I had to be patient, right? So I looked at that and I go, I just can't take something that has such a wide, stop, right? Entry up here, stop below. It just, you're asking too much from the stock, right? Asking for it to make too much of a move. And plus, if I look at this, if I just do a trend line here, just to get a sense for where, right? Okay, if this is 1R, right? I take this, I move this up here, right? So 1R is here. So not quite 1-2, maybe close. But also at the same time, when I look at this, I go, but this was all rejection, right? This was all rejection. So I know if I get into a trade, if I get past this level right here, and you can see where I'm, kind of rolling over. If I get past, I mean, you're going to be into nothing but resistance because was complete rejection. I don't know. For me, it just wasn't, I didn't have the risk to reward that I needed to take that setup. So I was like, all right, let me just wait, see what happens. Right. So next candle came in. I'm like, all right, cool. Indecision. And then, and here again, this is similar to what I looked at before in Tesla and why I don't take breakouts and breakdowns. Because when I saw this come in, like everybody who had their orders set up, like I just described, entry above this candle, stop down here, all these got triggered in, and then it just, got rejected, just came right back down. Now, again, typically I would expect to see that roll over, right? Just because generally that's what happens, right? This is the bull trap. You get all the buyers lined up, trigger, trap them all, roll over, stop everyone out. Didn't happen though. Then this candle came in, right? Then this one came in. I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this is the rollover, right? I'm still not convinced on the strength of this, right? Until that candle came in. So that candle right there is the confirmation candle I needed to say, okay, I could get into this trade, right? So there you get the strong close, right? I would have really preferred this to have been the candle to do it, but basically you got the strong close I was looking for above this level, right? So there's the close I'm looking for. Great. Now I can set up my limit buy. But again, here's my dilemma, right? Where do I put my stop? I like this entry. The level here, right, is great for the entry, but where do I put my stop? I mean, technically I still need my stop down here. So it didn't meet my trading plan in terms of, needing to see the risk to reward. And when, again, we don't have, a crystal ball to know exactly what price is going to, what the stock is going to do that day. All I have to work with is the data that I've been given up until that point. And the data that I've been given was basically telling me that this level right here, right, which was the previous day's high, right there, is probably where I need to be targeting, right? Looking at in terms of where I'm going to be needing to potentially take profit or take some off, right? And just wasn't, I just didn't have the risk. I'm sorry, the reward to risk, built into it. So next candle, and then boom, it goes up. I'm like, all right, still looking good. I still am considering it now. If it comes back down, I have this pivot, but again, I'm not going to be so tight on my entry and my stop, but I thought, well, maybe I'll put my stop. Sorry. I thought maybe at that point I would put my stop like maybe below the low of this candle, right here. So maybe if price came down to here, I could take an entry here, stop here, but then it just ran, right? It just took off. So, but that's okay. I mean, again, for me, I'm okay being a little more conservative. If I can take, the trades with the highest probability of success and keep myself from getting caught in all these traps that we see day in and day out, then I'm okay if I miss trades, right? It's not the end of the world because there's going to be plenty of other trades to take. So here, so Crystal, I'll just show you. I mean, let's say if I did get triggered in here, right? If I did get triggered in here, but if you just look at the way the price movement goes here, right? So this candle, right? 2-bar trailing stop. After this candle, technically the stop could be here, right? Count back 2 candles. This candle did not make a higher high. Doesn't look like it. High of that one, 458.30. So same high, right? So I don't count that. So I have to wait. Next candle right here, right? Makes a higher higher and a higher low compared to this one. Count back 2. Again, you can count this one or discount it, right? Technically, if you counted it, your stop would be now below this one, but maybe you split the difference and you go somewhere in here. But then this candle comes in, higher high and higher low. Okay, count back 2. Now my stop is below here. This one does not count, right? Because it went lower, but then you get this one that does. So after this one, you count back 2, 1, 2, right? But I'm not going to put my stop below that candle because this has a lower. So my stop is somewhere down here, right? And then, you just keep doing that. It's a nice way to, and it's simple, right? Doesn't require a lot of thought. And it's very straightforward in terms of your stop placement. But again, this was just one where I just wasn't willing to take the trade given the, yeah. So Crystal says, I can see how that stops you giving back, too much. Yeah, for sure. And that is the point, right? So especially when you're profitable, the worst thing is to be in a profitable trade and have it reverse on you and turn into a loss, right? Happened to me too many times to count before I started implementing this kind of a strategy, right? Never, early on in my trading career, I couldn't tell you the number of times I was in a trade where it was profitable and then it just turned around and became a loss, right? And it was just lack of, awareness in terms of stop placement. So when you say so what do I do for the holding muscle that's talked about? This strategy will actually help you, right? So, so because you are basically allowing the stock to run, right? So you're not really saying, okay, I'm going to take all off at a certain level. You could say, well, I'm going to take 50% off of my trade off at this level, but I'm going to give the stock room to run. So the holding muscle on this is built into this 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop, right? Because especially on a day like today, when it's trending the way it's trending, right? You could just hang in something all day long. Is Win here right now? I don't know if Win is. Let's scroll down. Win, are you here? I don't see Win. He's logged in, but I haven't seen any messages from him. But anyway, he uses it. And Mike, Mike Benincasa, you've been using it, right? Or you have used it. I don't know if Mike's still. Oh, Mike. So Mike, the question was, have you been using that 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop that we covered? Yeah, and John says I use it to manage once it's running in the green. Perfect. Yeah, and again, that's it. You want to start using that 5-minute 2-bar trailing stop once you're in the green, and Mike uses it. Yeah, so so Crystal, it's and Mike, I think you've found that it really has helped you to stay in a stock in a stock longer, right? Stay in a trade longer. Yeah. So Crystal, that's it, right? The holding muscle is really built into that trailing stop strategy, because all you got to do is just keep moving your stop with the price action. Super easy. Mike, too kind. Yeah, Mike was with me in a group mentorship program. All right, let's see. Let's go back. Let me take a look at. I got 2 more minutes here. Let's go back to. Oh, and Crystal, the other thing I want to point out, and I don't know if anybody else talked about it today, but there are certain Fridays of the month, okay, and this was one of them, which is dedicated to beginners and developing traders, right? So, Hector, my roomie. So if you go to, well, I think it's every other Friday, Crystal, but we do on Fridays because there are a lot of new and developing traders at Real Life Trading, and so we want to make sure that we're dedicating time to just tending to their needs and helping them to develop and to learn. So this is one of those Fridays where we do slow things down, and then and that's what we're about, just answering the questions like you had. So I got the Newsome Nader coming in.
Hey, bro.
What's up, brother? Crystal, definitely going to get in those videos. Still working, sticking with trading plan. Yep. Oh, and Crystal, trading plan. Yeah. So you have a written trading plan. Yeah. Waiting to see if I get a response. Yep. Don't want the punishment. Hey, Crystal, if you want, hit me up in Slack, right? And just remind me. I've got a bunch of links to. There's a workshop on creating a trading plan. I know you have it, but it could probably help to watch it. And then also workshop on becoming a consistently profitable trader. So if you want those links, right, shoot me a message in Slack and I'll hook you up with those. All right. You're not muted, are you?
I was.
Oh, there you are.
I am muted. Sorry, dude. How are you, champion?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome, man. Excited to see you soon.
Yeah, me too. Psyched about it. I didn't know. Were you coming in? Were you scheduled to come in at 3?
Yes, sir. You'd built this long time ago.
Huh. Okay.
It's me, Hector, and Luis. We're battling stocks versus real estate.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Poor guys.
Cool. Nice.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh man.
Steven, stick around. We need backup, bro.
Four guys.
All right, let's see here. Let me go to participants. Let me see. So Jeremy, you want me to make you already took over.
Yep. I got you, my man.
You already took control.
We are good. I'm gonna make our boy Hector co-host. And
Oh yeah, thanks, Martina. I gotta stop the
Yep.
recording.
There we go.